Welcome back to the channel everyone, and today I'm going to be doing a kit review on this right here, which is the Kitpimp Commanders Patrol Pack. Right then, so I've already done a review on the bigger brother of this pack, which is the Pathfinder Bergen. This, as you can probably see from the design, is very similar in the layout, but a much more scaled down version. So what I'm going to do is I'll go through my normal format of everything I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about the specifications, the functions and features, how I see the pack being best used, pros and cons as I see it, and then I'll summarise at the end. So let's get into it. Specifications then, the material used throughout is 1000D nylon, so really robust, and it's got a DWR finish on it as well to make it a bit more waterproof. The main body then, not including the external pouches, but the main body is 35 litres. Then you've got 3 pouches here that are 4 litres each, 2 side pouches that are 6 litres each, and a basher pouch here, and I believe that's around about 5 or 6 litres as well. So quite a big carriage capacity all up. The weight of it is 1.8 kilos or 4.0 pounds, and the dimensions are 40 centimetres from bottom to top, not including the external pouches this is. From left to right it's 30 centimetres, and the depth is 14 centimetres. And obviously you've got more dimensions attached all over the place with these pouches. It's available in this rather nice olive green colour and also MTP for military use, and it's £86.99, which is a pretty damn good price for a pack of this size with all these functions on. Talking of which, let's get into the functions and features. Okay then, functions and features of the pack. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through all the different pouches, all the different functions of the pack. I'm going to cover it from top to bottom. I'm going to cover all the outside pouches, the carriage system, and on the inside too. So, starting from the top then. So this lid then is the same type of lid that's on the Pathfinder Bergen. It gives you great organisational capacity, which I'll go into in a sec. But on the very top of the pack here then, you've got 2 webbing straps. These are basically divided up into these 2 little straps here, so you could run a strap around there and there, something like a whole mat or whatever. And then these ones actually come in quite handy to just grab the thing. You've got another similar one here, a smaller one. So not quite as long as these ones here, but another 2 bits where you could run a strap through for whatever reason. And then a slightly larger one there and a grab handle there. This lid is actually extendable. It's a floating lid as well, and I'll show you that a little bit more detail in a minute. So then, opening up the top flap, you've got 2 really good zipper pulls with nice bits of paracord on there. And then this opens right up like so. And look at the capacity there. Look at the organisation you've got going in there. So on the top part, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines of molly and bungee as well. So you've got a bungee line there, and then a webbing line there, and then all the way up like so. And as you can see, you can organise your kit really well. Just as an example then, I've got on mine, I've got a Barco Laplander folding saw. I've got a knife there, fixed blade knife, a couple of glow sticks. I've got a glow stick set up as a buzz saw, and then a folding knife there. And you know, you could set this up any way you wanted to. You could put in a medical pack mollied directly on there. You could put anything you want in there, so it's really handy. And then what you've got here, again the same as what's on the Pathfinder Bergen, you've got a larger mesh pouch there. You can put all your small bits and pieces in, and then you've also got another 2 smaller little pouches there. And these are great for things you want to get to that you don't want to get mixed up with other stuff. So I've got a head torch in there, which obviously you want to be able to find quickly in the dark if you get caught out in the dark. And then in this one here, I've got a pacer. I've got my clicker that I use for pacing for navigation. So you could, you know, have this any way you wanted. And the good thing about these mesh pouches is they don't take up any space. So if I had nothing in here, and I just wanted to put, say, like a dry bag in this area, These are just laid flat and they wouldn't take up any space. So an excellent lid there, really good for organising all your kit that you can get to really quickly. Also on the reverse side of the lid then, what we've got is another zip pouch on the inside of the lid here. It's a separate compartment to the top, and that's great for putting in your more things you want to keep secure, like your car keys. You can maybe, or what I normally put in here is a small wash kit, things like that. I'm going to open up the main buckles there, but we won't go into the main pack just yet. What we've got on the top here is a basher pouch. Now, there's only one zip there. I think that might have been better if there'd been two zips, so you could open it up like so, or if one side of the zips gets damaged, then you could use the other, but it's fine, it works absolutely fine. And in there, I've got my Tiger Stripe basher that Matt Tightwad made me. That's a mega bit of kit, so thanks for that, Eddie. And that fits in there perfectly, absolutely great. Now this is a little bit more of a compact basher than an Army issue one, a British Army issue one. So for the British Army one, I think it might be a bit of a squeeze getting it in there. You'd probably fit it in, but it'd be a bit of a squeeze. Okay then, at the bottom, what we've got is these 3 pouches, each of 4 litres. These are really nice. So going in, you've got a drawstring with a hood to keep all your stuff. You know, if you've got any small bits and pieces, that's going to stop anything from falling out, and it's going to give you a bit more protection from the elements as well. So in this one, I've got a broken down 24-hour ration pack. In the centre one then, I've got my cook system. So I've got an MSR stove there, and then I've got my cooking pot with a gas bottle in there. And in this one here, I've got a litre water bottle. So these do fit the British Army water bottles, but I've got just a normal kind of Nalgene bottle in there at the moment, just to show you different types of water bottles, but that fits a 58 one as well. One thing I would say about these pouches though, is that there's no strap tidiers on them, which would have been nice to stop these from dangling. So if these were tidied up like so, then that'd be a bit more neat. Obviously you could just put some tape on there to tidy them up, or not be as OCD as me, but yeah, just one point there. Okay, on the bottom of the pack, what you've got is these 2 loops here, and what these can be used for, and these ones do have strap tidiers on, the main ones. What you can use these for is running the straps through before you attach them to the lid, like so. And then what that does is it compresses the pack, so you can actually get a bit more compression going on the pack, okay? You could obviously use these for attaching other bits and pieces as well. If there was a loop there, then you could also use that for attaching things like your ice axes, your walking poles, that sort of thing. But at the moment, all they can really be used for much is for, again, passing these things through. And like I say, these main straps do have the strap tidiers on with the Velcro, which is pretty nice, to be fair. So I'm just going to leave that loose now. I'm not going to do up that Velcro. So that's these pouches covered here then. Then what we've got is the side pouches. Now, these are really nice, okay? So these, as I mentioned, are 6 litres in size. They're a really good size. They cover pretty much the whole piece of real estate at the side of the pack. There's a little bit at the bottom there that's not used, but great size, and you could fit a basher in there, no problem. In this one, I've got a waterproof jacket, quite a big one. So that's an Arc'teryx Alpha jacket, and that fits in there perfectly. One nice feature I've got on here, so they don't have the collars on the sides here on these ones, but I think in these pouches you're going to have bigger items in anyway, to be honest. What is nice about these though is they've got compression straps on the sides, okay? So whatever you've got in these, you can compress them down, stop things from bouncing around and stuff. And also, if you're not using these, you could compress these right down and pretty much flatten them down by using those straps. One thing I would like to see added though, again, is the strap tidiers, because these straps are loose here. And yeah, you know what, you could tuck them away in these little loops here, couldn't you? You could tuck them away like that. So maybe it's just me being a bit OCD. You could definitely stow them away like that. But it would be nice to have strap tidiers on there and also on these quite long straps here. Anyway, lovely side pouches. Same on the other side. And then underneath on the bottom of the pack then, what we've got here is drainage grommets, okay? So there's one on each of these smaller 3 pouches, one on the centre here, so anything can drain out if something bursts, say if you had a burst inside your pack, or you know, you're going through a river or stream, you've got the drainage grommets. What is a little bit unusual is they don't put them on the side pouches here. It would be nice to see them on there too. Right then, something I mentioned a minute ago. So we're going to go on to the back of the Bergen now, but before we do, something I mentioned a second ago, is the fact that this is a floating lid, all right? So what you've got is 3 straps, 1, 2, 3, and these ones do have the strap tidiers on, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to undo them, and then I'll show you a floating lid. So this is a great function because what it does is it allows you to overpack the bag and lift the top up like so, okay? That means you can actually get more in the pack. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to overpack the inside part, but if you've got something you need to top flap, put underneath the top flap, like a roll mat or something, then you've got the option of doing that. And there's this piece of material here that covers it as well, so it's not just left open, and that makes it nice and neat and tidy. So those straps just go up like so. Again, I'm not going to mess around with those right now. And then you've got a grab handle here. Now this grab handle is okay, but personally I would have liked to have seen it sewn instead of there and there. It would have been nice to have seen it sewn there and there so that you could actually get your hand in easier. It's kind of a little bit of a finicky one to grab initially. Once you've got your hand in, it's okay, but it would have been nicer to have been a wider, sort of broader strap. Okay, carriage system then. Now what we've got here is a lovely air mesh back that's super comfortable against your back when you're carrying it, okay? Super comfortable. It's got like a V shape sewn into it like so, and yeah, I mean, obviously if you're wearing body armour or something, if you're serving, then that's going to make no difference at all, but for most of us that aren't serving, that are using this for say bushcraft or something, that's lovely. The shoulder straps then, now this is one of the things I have a little bit of an issue with. I'll show you myself wearing this in a sec, but I find these shoulder straps a bit short, to be fair. And I mean, I'm fairly broad, so that's going to have an effect, but I do find these a bit short. However, they're nice and wide, and again, they've got that lovely padding on the inside as well. So really comfortable. There's a sternum strap here, okay, and that has got the strap tidier on it. Just one thing I'd say about this chest strap though, this is a bit small as well, okay, and again I'm fairly broad, I'm a 48-inch chest, but I find that I've got that as its maximum dimension there, and it just about works for me. So one thing that I fed back to the company is this needs to be extended, this sternum strap, and these need to be lengthened as well. Nothing that, you know, it's not a game changer, it's not unusable or anything, but I do find them a little bit short. Okay, so normal sort of attachment points there, nice and well secured there at the base, with lots of double stitching and stuff, so nice and strong. And then at the bottom of the main straps then you've got the strap tidiers there, so nice and neat and tidy for those straps. What I'll do next then is I'll go inside the rucksack. Going inside the main pack then, so it's accessed in the traditional way, 2 buckles there, and these are the 25mm size buckles, so nice and big size. And you've got a drawstring at the top there, nice and easy to use. And there's no sort of gimmicky bits here, there's no like side opening zips or anything like that. But actually, for what this is for kind of military or bushcraft use, I think that's absolutely fine. I'll show you what I've got packed in here, just again as an example of the capacity of the pack, all right? So obviously I've got a dry liner in first to make sure my kit stays nice and dry. I've got a dry bag there with my gloves, shemag, woolly hat in there. Then I've got another dry bag there with all my clothing in, so I've got a warm jacket in there. I've got a warm insulated mid-layer fleece and a couple of pairs of socks. Then I've got a roll mat. And then last thing in here is I've got a mid-weight Corinthia sleeping bag, okay? I think that's the Defence 1 or whatever it's called. But this is what I use in the sort of like spring, summer, autumn months. So with what I've got packed in here, you've easily got enough capacity to go out for an overnight or even a few nights, okay? As long as it's not freezing cold in the depths of winter. So next thing I'm going to cover then is best use of the pack as I see it then. So personally, I think there's two main things that this would be really good for. First one is military use. Because it is quite short, compact, but with all that organisational capacity, so you can find stuff at night without having to put torches on and all that, it'd be great use for military. Because it's a short back on the pack, it'd fit really well over a set of belt kit. So that's the first use, is for military use. The second use that I think this would be really good for then is for bushcraft use, because it's really robust. It's made out of that 1000D material, so any little sparks and stuff, it's going to stand up fairly well to be fair. And for pushing through all this sort of wilderness with you know, trees and, you know, brambles and shit like that, it's going to stand up to punishment really, really well. And the fact that it's got all that organisational capacity in the lid, in the pouches, it just makes it a really good option for bushcrafting and getting out in the trees and having a, you know, a bit of a time sat around the fire at the weekend. Okay then, so next thing I'm going to cover are the pros and cons of the pack as I see it then. First pro is the fact that it is absolutely bomb-proof, robust. I've had this pack for a few months now, I think about 4 months. I've taken it out for little bushcraft get-togethers. I've taken it out through some nasty terrain, all that sort of stuff, and it stood up really well to the punishment I've put it through. There's none of the buckles, none of the zips have failed. All the materials held up really, really well. The next pro that I've got for this pack then is the organisational capacity that the pack's got, with that mega lid, with all the pouches on the external sort of part of the pack. It just gives you that option of just being able to organise your kit really well without having to delve into the main pack to just bring out something small. And having things that are quick to hand, you know, like your basher, your water bottle, that sort of thing. And you want to organise your gear really, really well. The next pro for the pack then is the cost. This thing is £86.99p at the moment. So that's September 2025. You'd be hard pushed to find a pack with all the functions and features that this has got at anywhere near that price, okay? I'm not going to start comparing it to other brands out there, but I know for a fact that this is really, really, you know, good value for money for what you get. Cons then, I've got a couple of cons for the pack. The first one is something I mentioned as I was talking through the functions and features, and that is the shoulder straps, okay? These shoulder straps, I do find them a little bit short, and it'd be nice if they just made them a bit longer. And the other part of the shoulder straps I'm going to include in the same thing is that sternum strap. It is a little bit short for me. I know I'm fairly broad, but there are bigger people than me out there. Okay, so that's the first con. The second one then is strap tidiers. Now, unusually, there are lots of good strap tidiers on there, but on these side pouches, there's nothing. They could do with some Velcro strap tidiers, and also these external pouches here and on the sides as well, the tightening straps, the closure straps, they don't have strap tidies on, and I'd prefer it if they did, to be fair. The other one here for this pack then is there isn't a waist strap, okay? So there's no waist strap attached to the pack, and there's nowhere to attach one either. So it'd be nice if they maybe put a couple of buckles there, one there, and if you wanted to, then you could add a waist strap. Not everyone's going to use them because this is generally for sort of military use, really. And if you're going to be wearing this with body armour, you're not going to use a waist strap, which is probably why they have one. But it would be nice for those that do want to use one to support the load a little bit better. So that's my thoughts on the Kitpimp Commanders Patrol Pack. Really good, practical, bomb-proof bit of kit, really well organised, tough as you like. So has anyone else out there got one of these? Have you got any pros and cons, anything that I've not mentioned? What do you think of the pack? Let me know in the comments below. So thanks a lot for your support, especially those that are members of the channel now. Really appreciate that support. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And as always, stay prepared. And I'd just like to say a massive thank you to all the members that are supporting my channel. Much appreciated. Thank you.